Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to measure garments. It's one of the hardest things to do to buy online, to buy clothing. How do you know if it fits? Most of our items that we're going to be listing are going to have sizes listed. Chest sizes, waist sizes, outer sleeve length, the length of the garment. When we move on to pants, we're going to do waistbands and we're going to do inseams. And sometimes even on our used items, you might see an inseam length with an additional 2 inches or 1 3/4, which means that the garment can be let out in that area, either in the waistband or in the length of the inseam. So I'm going to show you how we measure it, and it's general in the industry. If we take our first item, it's a hunt coat. One of the more prolific items on websites, both new and used. And in order to determine our chest size, we're going to measure right here where the armpit ends. So we lay it flat on the table. We lay it out nice and flat. We measure straight across with a regular tape measure. Don't stretch it out, just as it lays flat. This particular jacket is a 36-inch chest because it measures 18 across. We've laid it flat. 18 times 2, because you're going all the way around, would mean that it would fit someone with a 36-inch chest. When you go to the waist, look at the natural waistline. You can see that it comes in here, and generally the natural waistline is right at the second, between the second and bottom button on hunt coats, or at the middle button on a saddle coat. And again, you're going to lay it flat and measure straight across. And this garment has a 32-inch waist. So when you're measuring the person, you measure clear across the chest, all the way around, keep your tape level. And when you're measuring at the waist, the natural waistline, it's hard to see on Trixie the Hoe here, but her belly button is right here, and her natural waistline is at the belly button. When we get to pants, they're going to be 1 inch below the belly button for a normal rise, and 2 inches below the belly button for a low rise. So that's where you want to measure. On your jacket, we've measured the chest, we've measured the waist. When we do the sleeve length, we go from the top of the seam all the way down to the end. This jacket actually measures a 24-inch sleeve. So we don't measure it from the armpit, we measure it from the top to the outside, 24 inches. Again, we'll take 2 measurements off the back. We have what we call the shoulder measurement. This is the measurement at the narrowest part right here between the armhole seams. That gives us a distance of our shoulder blades. So we're going to measure this. This coat measures 14 inches from here to here. We also measure the neck seam. So the neck seam is going to go right here where that seam underneath the collar. We go from there to the bottom of the jacket. That'll give us the total length and where that will fit and sit on the person after it's done. Now when you're measuring for a coat, the first thing everybody wants to do is measure the person. Well, it's very difficult to measure the person and then flat measure a coat and come up with something that's going to be exact. Ideally, say the person has a garment. It can be a jacket like this. It can be a fitted shirt, something that has normal sleeves and a button front, or that it's cinched in the waist so that it fits them very nicely. And then lay that garment on the table and measure like we have. Outer sleeve length, chest, waist, the length from the neck seam down, and in between those armholes. And that will give you a better grasp on whether it's going to fit. If you're going to measure the person, the chest and the waist are fairly easy, but it's measuring it properly. A lot of people allow the tape to droop in the back, which is going to give you a longer chest measurement than should be. Everything needs to be level. Remember, the natural waistline is at the belly button, 1 inch below for a standard rise pant, and 2 inches below for a low rise pant. And when you, moving on to pants, when you do pants, in the hunter world, there's 2 kinds. These are jods, very cute. Jods have a cuff at the bottom and with the buttons, and they're made to be worn with paddock shoes. They come in standard rise, and when we talk about the rise, we're talking about from the crotch seam to the top. The rise is standard or low rise. And again, standard rise, 1 inch below the belly button. Low rise pants, 2 inches below the belly button. The jawed pants have 2 measurements. They have the waist And again, we're going to take our tape and we just run it across the actual opening of the tape. This has a waist of 9.5 inches, so that would be 19 inches around the waist. And when we do the inseam, we go directly from the crotch seam all the way to the bottom at the standard length of the pant. And so our inseam on these are 14.25. This will give us a good indication of whether these are going to be long enough for our child. You can measure right from the crotch down to the top of the paddock shoe to get your inseam for jod pants. The waistband is a little tricky. The problem with waistbands is this little girl here measures at 1 inch below the belly button, or a standard rise breech. She measures 30 inches around. We put a pair of 30-inch pants on her and she's swimming in them. So we don't really understand the whole gist of that, but just suffice it to say that even though a 30-inch pant measures 30 inches around at the waistband, generally speaking, you're going to be one size down from what you actually measure in the proper spot. So this girl measures 30 right here. She wears a 28 breech. Okay? Now, when we go on to breeches, you'll notice that the breech does not have a cuff bottom, and this is made to stop mid-calf. So halfway down your lower leg is where this stops. There's a Velcro opening at the bottom to allow you to slide it on and then crank it tight, because you're going to wear tall boots with a breech. So paddock shoes with the jods, tall boots with the breech. We measure them the same way. They go waistband and inseam. But on your inseam, you'll notice that on a breech like this one, our inseam measurement is 26. And if you're used to buying jeans that are 32-inch length, you might go, oh my, that's going to be way too short. But remember, breeches stop mid-calf. Okay, so 26 would be your regular length, 27s or 28s would be your long, and the waist measurement's the same. So when you're looking online and you're looking for, say, a pair of breeches or a pair of jods for ladies or kids, it will if it doesn't state the rise or the distance from here to the crotch line, it's going to be a standard rise. If it's a low rise, it will say low rise right on it. There's a second type of pant for our saddle seat riders. It's called a Kentucky jod. And they have like a bell bottom at the bottom. And these pants, again, are measured the same way. They come in a standard rise, they come in a low rise. And again, 1 inch below the belly button for standard, 2 inches below the belly button for low rise. Generally, if you know the size that a person takes on a standard, say they normally wear 28-inch breeches on a standard rise or 28-inch jods. If they want a low rise, they're sliding down and the waist gets wider, so go up a size. So they're 28 in a standard rise breech, they would be a 30 in a low rise, generally speaking. Now the Kentucky jods are measured the same way. Inseam is from the crotch seam all the way to the bottom. Quite often on Kentucky jods, all of our jods have an area where you can take these out. And we will tell you how much more on the waistband you'll get, especially with kids' jods. Kind of nice to have something that grows with them. This particular item here has a 1 inch additional selvage on the inside, so it can be opened up very, very easily and restitched to gain an inch in the waist. On the bottom of the jods, it'll have a hem, something that your breeches and your cuff jods don't have. You have no ability in your hunt pants to lower them. On the Kentucky jods, you can. On this particular brand, we're looking at about an inch longer, so that you're able to do that and change that. And we will list that. We will list the waist size, the inseam length, and any additional selvage edge on the inside of the waistband and on the inside of the jod. And finally, when you're buying shirts, most shirts, this is a saddle seat shirt, but we have hunt seat shirts, we have saddle seat shirts, and they generally come in chest sizes. And where do we measure those? If you remember from the beginning of the video, we're going to go right here at the bottom of the armpit. We're going to lay the garment flat, make sure that it's buttoned across the chest or that so it doesn't pucker. And we're going to go straight across there. And this tells us that this shirt, which says it is a ladies 12, this happens to be a 34 chest. So it's much easier to measure straight across, get the chest measurement on the person, and know that this will fit. A lot of shirts tend to be rather box cut so that their waist is the same because you're going to tuck it all in and take it up. But your custom shirts tend to be more what we call cinch waisted. So they'll come in like this at the waist. At that point, you'll see both a chest measurement and a waist measurement, and make sure, because a lot of a more athletic build person is going to be very straight, and if you have a cinch waisted shirt, it's going to be tight across the middle and make buttonholes pucker. So it's very important to know exactly how we measure, and most of the industry measures. And if you have any questions about measuring any of the garments that we have on our website, make sure that you call us at 603-483-4833, or you can always email us 24/7 at griffinbrook@aol.com. Thanks.